Hello, everyone. Welcome to Isala Bros. We're back again after a short break where each of us had gone on holidays to the West Coast and the East Coast. Back from the Western Coast, right from the Western Coast, I came to Bangalore, worked for a little bit, and then in the evening, I set myself the arduous target of getting to Chinnaswamy Stadium in time, expecting that RCB is going to square off LSG. And because RCB decided they were going to chase, I thought RCB were going to win. But what just happened there?
Well, I mean, we are geared up for taking advantage of the home conditions. That's how FAF has been telling us that the team and the auction is taken place for home matches. But unfortunately,
But coming back into, let's go bit by bit. The game which started off with RCB bowling, I somehow thought that I was having the straight view from the end stand, and to me it looked like whenever you bowled a ball outside off stump to Quinton de Kock was somehow able to find his way. He didn't look very convincing. Any ball bowled in that line outside off stump, Quinton de Kock was not scoring runs. But anything that you pitch on middle and leg, Quinton de Kock was whipping it. So RCB were committing mistakes where they knew that this guy will not score in that particular region. But every time they'd bowl two balls, the third ball they'd bowl right in his middle stump and then he'd whack it to, fine leg. And it allowed Quinton de Kock to actually go build an innings, though it wasn't his most convincing innings. But despite that, he was on 70 or 44 balls at one stage. And I was just thinking, boss, he doesn't do this or rather, if a Virat Kohli was playing, and I think Vinay in fact made this remark. He was sitting next to me. He said that this doesn't happen very often with Indian players, but with Quinton de Kock, I think he's been able to connect whatever he was able to face. So coming back from a bowling perspective, do you think the bowling, held its reputation?
uh, Joseph for Topley, that was good move. I saw the same thing that you're saying, that there is a loose ball every over, and that's going for a boundary. And but the second half of the bowling, I think the guys did well. They had a plan, especially for Puran. I thought the plan was very clear. If you notice the stat, it's like five sixers, and they bowled about 18 balls to him where he swung to the hills, and he only connected it five times. That's 27% strike rate of hitting six. It's still good enough to get 30 runs, but there was a plan. 180 was still for what they were. If I'm right, they were like 120 in like 13 or 14 overs, or 13.5 or 13.3. They were like 120 or 123. So at that point, you would think that if they go hard, they're going to get close to 190, 200. And if Puran had played, they would have got above 200, right? But that was not the case. So they executed well in the last 8 overs. They had a very clear plan. So I'm going to say that the bowling has been slightly better. Maybe
I
I
agree
won't.
there. I agree
Yeah.
there. In fact, for the bowling, I actually felt RCB had done a very good job when it came to containing. You guys had just two bad overs. One was the 13th over, the other was the 20th over. And even with Reece Topley, his 24 ball quota, I think 21 balls were great. He was able to
Yes.
maintain control. Those three full tosses cost RCB at the end. Not just that, but I think when you drop a catch of somebody like Nicky Puran, he is going to remember his 61 of 19 that he scored last year, and he followed it up with a blitzkrieg yesterday. And as you said, right, they were 102 for 2 in the 12th over. And at that time, it looked like they were set for 180. But after that over, where I think Cameron Green bowled three full tosses, they had a lot of runs that were leaked in the 13th over. To me, I think the 13th and the 20th over slightly shifted the momentum towards Lucknow, but very, very slightly. RCB was still in the lead because 170, 180 is a gettable target in Chinnaswamy. I still felt at the innings break going for dinner that RCB still could chase this down. And I thought they began pretty well, both with Virat and with Faf striking at 130 without too much of effort. I think they were about 36 in 4 overs, and then mayhem basically happened.
No, you're absolutely right. Cameron Green's over. He's bowling. It was like he's bowling on the leg. He doesn't have a. If I'm right, he doesn't have a long on. He's pushed the mid on front and he's bowling on the legs. You can just whip him for fours between the mid wicket and the long on, and there's no long on also. And they were able to clear, and he bowled a full toss also, if I'm correct. Topley's over. I think he bowled the wideish. He hit Puran hit three sixers, which were really credit to Puran. He hit three wide Yorkers for six. So I think they lost a little bit of cool there. But 180, this if you told Faf, if you told the management and Virat that you're going to chase 180 against Lucknow, they would have probably settled for chasing 180 in Chinnaswamy, like what you're saying. To have like 8 batters and not be able to get 180 in Chinnaswamy, and you're batting second under the lights. I mean, this is the recipe for victory. So to me, the even though on the post match, Faf is telling that we should have done better in the ball. Absolutely, you could have saved maybe like 4 boundaries or 5 boundaries, but we only got 153, and that also because Siraj came and hit a couple of sixes. Otherwise, you're only
Correct.
hitting 130, 140. So the batting is the main part, which is completely gone off.
Damn, 130. Seriously, in the age where KKR is scoring 135 in 10 overs, which brand of
Correct.
cricket is RCB playing, and how are RCB fans actually rallying behind? Because the day you guys, I think, would have brutally realized that the game against KKR on Friday, where you would have seen that, oh, you would have felt happy seeing, okay, RCB scored 50 runs in the power play, RCB scored 180 plus, Virat scoring 82. But you saw the way Nareen and Salt played. They just killed the game in the power play. 6 overs, they're looking at 90 runs, 80 to 90 runs. Even in the game against Delhi Capitals, that's the way Kolkata Knight Riders are batting, scoring 80, 90 runs. So I'm just
Yes.
worried that RCB has right now faced two oppositions that aren't the strongest, or at least they weren't the strongest version of themselves when they played at Chinnaswamy, which is Punjab Kings as well as the Lucknow Super Giants. And both those teams, they nearly slipped against Punjab. Uh, Again, they thought Dinesh Karthik would again pull them out of a hole. Similarly, in fact, when that six happened, which is basically, I think, Lombror hitting that six, I thought the game was, oh man, 40 of 3 overs is still 46 of 3 overs should still be possible.
Possible.
Possible, but again, you can't depend on DK and Lomror every single time. And I think this is where RCB have to take a reality check. They cannot ignore the fact that their batters are not in good form. But okay, let's leave Faf aside. Glenn Maxwell, Cameron Green, these are your most important batters. Rajat Patidar, he got some time to bat in the middle. But if your captain as well as 3 other batters in the top are not batting, I think it is very important that you folks as fans also respect Virat to bat 60 balls. Because if he bats 60 balls, the technique the guy has, he will score you 75 or 80 runs. And the rest of the 60 balls, at least, you can then side load it with more of Lomror, more of DK, and less of someone like Patidar trying to waste balls, or someone like
Correct.
Anuj Rawat, just because he came far earlier than a number 6 batter in a T20 would come. But I think RCB are playing a very outdated brand of cricket, and I think they're not recognizing that this is their strength, this is their weakness, and as a result, yesterday and the game against KKR, I think they were brutally exposed. But I think this year, when I saw the way Mayank Yadav bowled yesterday, Maxi first ball was just right above his head, and even the one with Faf,
Correct.
I saw Faf fearing in the sense he moved his leg, his right leg back, and then he just tried to, I think, just dab the ball
Wait for, yeah.
to mid wicket and go. Immediately, like somebody like Faf, who's faced high quality fast bowling in South Africa, my only sense is I think the first 4 5 overs they were not prepared for the variety of bowling that came. Certainly, you had Krunal Pandya and Siddharth Manivaran, getting the ball to drift in, and it was brilliant to see the pace at which they were drifting in at 110 to 115 kilometers an hour. So I think despite that they did well, 4 overs 36. But I think when Mayank Yadav came, that was completely out of portions in a sense. And even the way Siddharth Manimaran bowled, he got Virat Kohli out first.
Out, yeah.
Then, and I think the way once Faf was run out, and then they were able to get Maxi, and that was a question I had. I even saw a news report by ESPN's Shashank Kishore, where he very politically put it that way, saying that, hey, was that an ego shot? Because I seen all the 4 batters that Mayank Yadav had got out till that point, even the previous game that Mayank Yadav bowled. all of them were hard length balls where batsmen, once
Yes.
it's a hard length, right? They're trying to pull it. They just do not have the time. It's hurried on, and it's not striking, in the sweet spot of the bat. Then as a result, it balloons, and RCB end up, and in this case, Maxwell ended up gifting his wicket, and it just felt very sad because for a batter like him, if he bats 20 balls, you're assured of a 30, 35 runs, and that will exponentially increase. So I thought it was
Yes.
a little poor gamesmanship from Glenn Maxwell, knowing the kind of impact that he is otherwise slated for. And of course, Chris Green, you can't blame him. It was, I thought he's somebody who's used to fast bowling
Pace.
at
Yeah.
Wacom, given that he comes from Perth. But yes, a very good ball that completely he played down the wrong line and reminded me a little bit of Jofra Archer bowling it to um, forget one of those Bangladeshi openers.
Bangladesh, it goes for a six.
He goes for a six. So I think that was the excitement that I had sitting, in the end stand. So I just felt bad that RCB have messed up what is otherwise a regulation chase. And the thing is, in a tournament like IPL with such fine margins, can you afford to play this brand of cricket where you can't chase a 180? Because on grounds like Vizag or grounds like Hyderabad, 250 plus is easily being breached. So you see
Yes.
that. So tomorrow, when you go face these oppositions either on those grounds or they come to Chinnaswamy, I think the amount that they think they can extract out of Chinnaswamy is going to be higher. So I think RCB has not yet faced a tougher opposition. They've so far been able to, not look so jaded against Chennai Super Kings in the first game. Managing a scratch performance against Punjab Kings. Just about, not even they were like demolished against Kolkata Knight Riders, again losing the game in about 16, 17 overs. And then yesterday, I think again losing by about 30, 27, 28 runs. How many runs they lost by that kind of a margin? So I think
Yeah.
To me, RCB are playing a slightly outdated form of cricket. That is where I felt in terms of the decision making. Like you had a chase of 180, you had to do it. So, but again, now as much as I can ruminate because I felt this was a game that was just begging to be won. As an RCB neutral supporter, I still wouldn't make changes to that top order. I want to give them confidence, but I'd go tell Virat, please go play 60 balls. Let the others take their time to come into form. I'd also go tell Maxi that until we get into this ideal situation, I'd want you to just go feel a few balls and then the magic will happen. Fab Duplessis had a good start against Chennai Super Kings. So I think still that you guys have a good core. I don't think Will Jacks needs to be immediately brought in, but that's probably a replacement that a lot of fans are considering. What about you? What are you thinking?
They if Faf and Maxi are going to start executing, and I agree that Maxwell about trying to go hard on the first or second ball of Mayank Yadav. Uh, at the same time, we also talk about this. This is T20 cricket, and they talk about putting pressure back on the bowler. Possibly Mayank Yadav, you're facing him for the first time. You're not used to the action. You're still getting used to it. So there, I would agree. But tomorrow, if Maxwell is playing Harshit, no, he just played. But next match is against RR. Now, if Maxwell goes and he's playing Berger, and he's a new bowler, I would still say that if Maxwell wants to put pressure on the bowler, he should because that's his game. But considering the form he's in, I would say at the end of it, take a few balls to get feel because the magic is there. Maxwell is the big show, right? Uh, so overall, I would agree with what you think to Maxwell to take at least 5 or 6 balls, and the strike rate is never an issue with him, right? Now going back to I think the question you asked, wait, I forgot the question. What was the question?
Question was largely about, I know we spoke a lot. The question was, what other cosmetic changes do you think are required? Like, for example,
Changes.
a lot of
Okay.
people were talking about Bill Jacks coming in. So, would you think that's worth it? Or where would you see somebody like Vaishak? So, those are some of the questions that I had.
Yeah, yeah. So today, my mind is on playing an all-out Indian attack. Bring Vaishak for Topley because Vaishak has shown you that he can bowl. It's not You're not trying to bring in Will Jacks as a fourth foreigner as out of desperation. Vaishak has proven to you last year, this year, he's able to have multiple, cutters and back of the hand delivery. So I would say you can risk bringing in Vaishak for Will Jacks and let Will for Topley and let Will Jacks play. Uh, it's not a decision out of fear. It is decision out of information that has already been proven. However, the part I the mindset or what you say the brand of decision making. I don't know if IPL has ever any of the teams have ever gone in with four uh, batters or four bowlers for that chance. They always try to do the
I think this happened
like
in
divide
one of
it.
the, yeah, it happened in the earlier phase of
Hmm.
this year's IPL, where one of the teams went with, I think Delhi went with four of their batters because I think Nokia had not yet arrived, so they had a largely Indian pace attack. But I think that depends on team combination. The question is, do you trust your Indian batting order? And there's a very interesting comment that was made by Ambati Raidu, where he said that who is absorbing pressure in your team? In RCB, the tough overs, you're giving it to DK and the Indian kids, the uncapped Indian kids of Anuj Rawat, Mahipal Lomror. But the real, tough, you're not having any big star who's, batting at the end. Like, for example, earlier you had AB de Villiers, who was your finisher. Used to come in at either 4 or 5, point of entry being the 11th or 12th over. Maxwell point of entry 7th over, those days of 2021, 2020. So that way, I think RCB is not having anybody experienced to herald them in the chase. That was an interesting point, and I just wanted to also check. But do you think in this side you don't have anybody who's a foreign finisher specifically, unless you're saying to Cameron Green, you're a pace hitter, I want you to go bat at this role. But otherwise, I don't think you're looking at any changes as a fan, right, in your batting order?
No, I that's how the franchise has been. It's a different point whether this season what you can do nothing. I would say you go in with the same lineup and the like Faf said, there are a lot of big personalities in this group, and one or two of us have to put our hands up and perform, or specifically to execute. That is the foreign batters especially, and maybe Rajat Patidar to some extent. I would not change it. This is how the franchise has been built. I don't think Maxwell is don't need to go finishing. Cameron Green won't fit in finishing. Faf won't fit in finishing. So the finishers today are coming good. Last year this could have been a question. This year the finishers are doing well, so we keep them where they are. But if another 2 matches or 3 matches we're not getting the results we want, then we might be in the podcast discussing about what are we going to do next year. And I hope we don't come to that. At that point, you can ask these questions. Do we need to keep a better finisher? And questions like that. The franchise has been built this way, having big personalities, having big hitters. ABD also was they trialed ABD playing number 3, and it did come off some of the seasons. So it's something to ponder over, but not in this season. In this season, I still think one or two changes. The team is there. Like there is no question about it. Like this team has it. I would question the bowling, but the bowling is actually, if they're able to contain teams of 170 and 180, the bowling is also there. It's unfortunate that when we started the season, we did the podcast, we're talking about bowling as weak, and everyone is questioning the bowling and no spinners and this. But they've got it right. They got it right that 170, 180. If you're able to contain them, they're not going for 200 plus. The KKR
Absolutely.
match is the only match.
170,
Yeah,
180, I think was a very good thing. And I also like the way they bowled their 6 overs of spin up front much before Nicholas Puran came, so that your damage was
correct.
limited. And the 6 overs of spin, I don't think yielded too many runs because
No.
you had Maxi, who actually ended up getting a couple of wickets. So I think that way, I'm happy that RCB is using Maxi well. And yesterday was a great day to do that because I think you had Maxi bowling his off spin to 3 left-handers. You had
Correct.
what, Quinton de Kock, you had Devdutt Padikkal, and then you had Nicholas Puran a little further down, and that's
Yes.
one guy you don't want to bowl spin to with scarred memories. But that way, I think RCB have done a few things very well, which was bowling specifically. I still think it can be better if Baishak Vijay Kumar can still find a place in this side. And honestly speaking, I don't think you need to bring in one more batter to strengthen the batting. That's like the Cameron Green idea of, okay, trying to reinforce your batting. I think with your current team, you should put them, give them enough faith, give them very clear roles until everybody finds form. then it kind of helps in terms of, because your Lomror or somebody like Anuj Rawat and DK, they're doing very well if their point of entry is the 14th, 15th over. But if you give them a point
Yes.
of entry as the 9th and 10th over, then they're very confused because it's not a role that they, very adept with, which is in terms of, trying to take strike, trying to assess, and then trying to figure out. They just want to go there out and shoot. So I think that's something
Yes.
RCB has to do, where the top order bats till the 13th, 14th over, such that they can time the point of entry better. And that's where I think Virat Kohli would do very well in 78 balls to make sure he bats 40, 45 balls. So that's the only thing that I would recommend. But that's where we are, one game out of four so far. And the Isala bros are right now a little frustrated. We only had one of the bros joining the show today. But I'm hoping by the time the next episode comes by, we will be talking about the pre-match show for what to expect in the RCB versus RR game. Till then, it's me, Karthik, and it's Sagar, both of us signing off and saying Tata. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.